Hey, beautiful friends. This is Sarah Blumenfeld, host of Networking Done Different, an outreach of and invitation to more.com. Today, I would like to talk to you about grief. My mother passed away just a few weeks ago. My dad passed away a year and a half ago. I've had two husbands and a mother-in-law also pass. And so like many of you, grief is kind of an ongoing thing. We also experience grief when we lose something that is important to us, like a friendship or a job or an opportunity or our health. So I'd like to talk to you a little about grief in the hopes that it will give you some peace with all this. You may have heard of different stages of grief, like Elisabeth Kubler-Ross says there are 5 stages: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. There are others on the internet that I have seen that have 7 stages or 9 stages. The problem that I find with that is it's very linear, right? And grief is by no means linear. Any of you who have experienced grief know that you can go along just fine, and then you hear a song or you see something in the grocery, or you have a thought, or you see somebody holding hands, and it just hits you like a ton of bricks. It's definitely not linear. It's more of a spiral. So all of these stages could be helpful in some way. However, I find that they are limitations, and they create expectations for people that just cause them to judge themselves or cause others to judge them, like, well, you should be over the denial phase by now, or you shouldn't be angry. This is what they wanted, or whatever the case may be. Any kind of judgment of yourself or judgment by others is definitely not helpful. So here are some things that most of us think about when we experience grief. First of all, you're experiencing grief, that feeling of loss, because you've actually, if it's a person, you've lost their physical presence, their touch, their smile, their laugh. If it's a job, you've lost the income, you've lost the people that you used to hang around, you've lost the continuity of your day. Again, if it's a person, you may have lost their income, and so now you're on your own with that. Same thing with a job or a business. If you've lost that income, that definitely can produce some feelings that are very heavy. You regret something you did or did not do, and you beat yourself up for it. This is super common. I should have done this. I should have told them that. I shouldn't have let them do this. Friends, everybody is their own person, and you do what you're guided to do, and stop beating yourself up for whatever you think would have made a difference if I'd only done this. I know when my second husband passed and I was studying all kinds of healing modalities, and I would find a new one after he passed and think, oh, if I had only found this while he was still alive, I could have helped him, I could have saved him. Well, first of all, that's not my business, right? What he chooses is what he chooses, and it's not up to me to save him or anybody. So stop beating yourself up for something you think you should have done that you didn't, or you did do that you shouldn't have. Just give yourself some grace. You judge that the manner of their death was bad or wrong. So this can be especially prevalent if it was suicide. My first husband completed suicide. And a lot of people judged him for that, judged me for not thinking it was horrible. You leave the planet how you leave the planet. My point of view is it's all just leaving the planet. When people pile on judgments, say someone was an alcoholic and they passed because they were drinking too much, that's their choice. And for whatever reason, for whatever experience, whatever learning they've come here for. And to add on that judgment of, oh, this is wrong, or now they're going to hell because they did this, it just makes things worse for you. Trust me, it has zero effect on the wonderful place they are now. And everyone on the other side is in a wonderful place. They are on their next journey, whatever that may be. Here's some things that I think people find surprising involved in the grief of losing a loved one. Grieving that the person lost their potential for change or experiences, or grief for what they used to be. So let's say someone died of alcoholism. But before they got into alcohol, they were a wonderful, fun-loving person. And so you grieve that they have descended to this place which you judge as an incorrect place to be. And now they have no chance of getting back to how they used to be because they've left the planet. So that's something that can, again, be a judgment that just creates heaviness in you and has zero effect on them, as they are now on the other side and in a much happier place. Grieving that you lost the routine you were used to. So this is really prevalent if the person who passed was close to you. When my mother passed, it felt so weird for like a month because she just lived around the corner from me. I was responsible for her. I was forever going over there and helping her with things and taking her places, and then all that stopped, right? So it was a huge change in my routine, both physically in my routine, but also where my mind was all the time. When she was present on the planet, I was like, well, what does she need? Is she going to need something tomorrow? And so always top of mind. And then when that stopped, it was like this kind of void feeling for a little while until I let my body adjust to that. So give yourself some grace again about that. Grieving that you lost the dreams of the future you had with them. This was huge with my second husband. We were in business together. We did everything together. We were together 24/7. And we had such dreams of creating this amazing future together. And then when he passed from cancer, that all stopped. And that can be really jarring. And grieving to prove how much you love them or to meet others' expectations of what grief looks like. That was also huge to me with my second husband. I would find myself just crying like I had never cried before, over and over again. And, you know, people would say, how are you? And you don't want to say, well, I'm fine, truly, because they want you to say, I'm devastated. I can't live without him, right? So one day it just hit me. It's not necessary for me to keep crying and keep feeling horrible to prove that because I loved him this much, I have to show grief in a certain way this much. And if I only show it this much, then people are going to think I didn't really love him. Right? Look how much we twist around things when we look to other people's opinions, or when we judge ourselves that we need to be acting in a certain way to prove something. So all of these things can just weigh you down, my friends, and I encourage you to let all that go. Know that your loved one is in a much better place, is with you all the time. Your loved ones are always around you. You can always call on them, ask them questions, ask them for help. If you're grieving something else, like the loss of an opportunity or the loss of a job or the loss of a pet, just let it be what it is, right? Go through whatever you feel, acknowledge your feelings, let them go through you, and try to avoid acting in a certain way because you think you should or because others tell you you should do this or that. Follow your own knowing. There's a process that I do that can also help with this. It's called the emotion code. And it is a process of locating emotions which have become trapped in the body, which during grief, trust me, lots of them become trapped in your body. It's an easy way of locating them and then releasing them. So if you're interested in that or would like any help or conversation about grief that could help you get through something, it would be my pleasure. Please check out my website and invitationtomore.com. And I'll see you next time. Bye.